What's going on, everyone? Thank you all so much for being here. I see people trickling in. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to spend with me. Anybody that's watching this stream after this is over, thank you for taking time out of your day to watch this stream. So, right off the bat, I see we got a couple comments and then we'll dive into the discussion. Let's see. Bino, what is going on? Appreciate you being here. One eternity later. Russell Westbrook is staying for now, and hopefully he gets traded ASAP. Yeah, definitely. As far as like the Westbrook thing goes, I think it's inevitable. And we'll dive into the report from Mark Stein and stuff like that, and cover all that stuff, and plus all the other just endless uh, reports and conflicting reports and stuff like that. What is going on, Jay? Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Shannon, what is up? Third, appreciate you. Send Westbrook to the Spurs, give them the first round pick. The Spurs can send pieces to the Nets, and the Lakers get Kyrie and be done with it, and everyone is happy. That's a very real possibility. It's a very real possibility that could develop. Let's go. What is up? Let's go. What is up? It is past the 17th, bro. Yes, absolutely. Like I said, I've been saying, like, if you're part of As It Stands, not the Laker version, but just the As It Stands version, then you know that I said that the 17th, I believe, is just a marker date, that it'll likely happen if it was today or tomorrow. Now, I don't know if it will. I mean, obviously, doesn't look like it's going to happen today. Maybe we'll get lucky, and while we're on this live stream, we'll have some breaking news. I definitely have all my settings turned on, but realistically, it's probably not going to happen today. Hopefully tomorrow. Just so many conflicting reports, you know. Like I said, the word here in Vegas was that the deal was done. If it was done, I don't know why it hasn't been official yet. I understood the summer league thing. Now we're past that. Maybe they wanted to give it a day to marinate. I don't know. We will see. But nonetheless, I mean, look, when it comes to the Lakers, right, and they're holding off and stuff like that, and I think this is a good place to start diving into these discussions. Is so Lakers are holding off, right? People want them to make a deal, right? Do something, trade, do whatever you got to. But my thing is, like, what is out there that the Lakers are going to be able to acquire that's going to be game breaking? You know, Kyrie is the only asset that is out there. You know, like anybody else, like even if they could get Buddy Hield, like yeah, that makes us, you know, maybe marginally better. It doesn't move the needle enough to make us a contender. You know, and I mean, what Buddy Hield offers, like, why not keep your assets and give Cole Schweider a chance, right? He shot 50% or 52% or something like that in Summer League. We don't even need him to do that. We just need him to be, you know, be 40%, you know, like just to be that guy. So I'm not like, I understand the point of just being patient. Let the cards fold, you know, where they lie. Let them drop where they lie. Let's see what develops. You know, we still have until September for the offseason to be over. So there is a lot of time in between now and then for things to develop. I still don't believe that even if it doesn't happen tomorrow, like the Kyrie trade, even if it takes a week or two, I don't think they want to go into training camp with Kyrie Irving on their team. I could be wrong. I just don't think it. The owner wants him gone. You know, he wants to be in LA. It's just a mess right now. And the other argument, right, is that if the Lakers, like, isn't the Lakers not doing anything else a good sign? You know, yeah, I understand, like, you know, oh, you can miss on something, but there's nothing to miss out on, right? I think the Lakers know they're there, right? They just got to be patient and ride it out and get the deal done. I think if push comes to shove, they will make the deal and they'll give up the two first. I just think you have all the time. Like, why would you do that now? What if the Nets break tomorrow? What if the next Nets break a week from now? You know, there's a lot of things that could happen between now and then. If Kyrie does end up staying, you know, and you can't get the trade done, you pivot to something else and you're good. And then hopefully you sign Kyrie next season. I just think that it's not as severe as it may seem, you know. All leverage. Yeah. That's honestly what it was. Like, so like the report from Mark Stein, I think that's what it is. You know, I mean, even if you read the report, because I had a lot of comments on As It Stands, stuff like that from the videos. People were saying, you know, oh, like this is bad news. This is not what you want to see. If you actually read the article, it doesn't say that they agreed to ride it out and that Westbrook's still going to be on the team. No, it says if it says that they had a conversation, and if Westbrook and them are on the team come the season, then they agree to do whatever it takes to win a championship. So that doesn't mean that Westbrook is going to stay there. This report very likely came from the Lakers. This report is the Lakers putting information out there saying, hey, because I don't believe, I mean, think about it. Russell Westbrook fires his agent of 14 years because he wants to be traded and his agent doesn't. Then, right? So I mean that's enough. That's more telling than a random report. But then let's say it is true. You're telling me that Westbrook, and Anthony Davis had a private phone conversation together and then decided to call Mark Stein out of all people and say, hey, this is what the conversation was about. This was what was going to happen. And I'm not saying Mark Stein is lying. I'm not saying anything. It just seems kind of BS to me, like personally. And maybe it's just me being a Laker fan and, hoping for the best or whatever. Maybe they did. But if you read the report, it doesn't say that Westbrook is staying. It says if he ends up staying, then they'll work it out. And, Westbrook's not going to be a headache. That's the big concern, right? If Westbrook comes back and regardless of the trade rumors, regardless of everything, Westbrook, if you come back, are you going to be bought in or are you going to be a headache? And that was the phone conversation. And Westbrook said, I'll buy in. I will be that guy. I just think that Westbrook's likely gone no matter what. I mean, he didn't fire his agent for no reason. He's not going to fire his agent and then 2 days later have a conversation, be like, I didn't like that guy anyway. No, I think it was a report by the Lakers for leverage. Nothing's happened yet. There hasn't. See, that's the thing too, though. It's like, yes, the dates might be wrong, things like that. But I've always said, nobody knows either way. It's all just reporting. When I make the videos, when I talk about the stuff, I'm just reporting the information that's out there. And then I give my opinion, my thoughts, my beliefs based on this information. And that's why I pass it on as an open forum. That's why I say, join the discussion down in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts and opinions and all that stuff, because I could be completely wrong. I'm just some guy on the internet. I'm not some insider. I'm not Woj. I'm nothing like that. I'm just taking the information that's out there and reporting it to you and allowing you to come to your own conclusion, whether it's right or not. But the thing is people keep trying to oh, I gotcha. This is a gotcha moment, right? Kyrie's not a Laker. Guess what? But Kyrie's still, nothing's happened either way. It's not like we got a report that's Kyrie Irving is staying in New York. It just, that's my only thing. It's I understand people, they want to get that I gotcha moment, but in an hour it could happen, and then what? And then all these people that are it's never going to happen. All these people that are oh, look, you're this, that, and the other. None of those people are going to come back and be oh, I'm goofy, my bad. I was wrong, you were right. No, because they're on the internet. All of my opinions, all of my thoughts, they're on the internet. They're not going anywhere. They're there for the world to see. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm just like anybody else, a fan of the sport, fan of the NBA that's trying to relay information and hoping that it's spot on, But I believe this is all leverage. Rob is trying to show Brooklyn that he's not desperate for Kyrie. I agree. That's exactly what I think this is too. In Rob, we trust. I'm with that. Rob gets a lot of hate, but he has done a great job. And I know a lot of people might feel otherwise, but people forget because it's recency bias. What have you done for me lately, right? And the last thing that Rob did was put a bunch of guys together that didn't work, went and traded for Westbrook, all that stuff, but they miss out all the other details, right? First off, he built a championship team, we win the championship, and then the next year he upgrades basically every position. And everybody was praising Rob. The league was praising Rob. All of us fans were, man, Rob, you did it. Rob's the man, all this stuff. The execs voted the Lakers most improved. They were voted by the media most improved team after winning a championship. They were the favorites to win the NBA championship, all that stuff. And we were an Anthony Davis injury away from very likely winning the championship again. Rob did that. And then the next year, we go and get Westbrook, right? And that was Anthony Davis and LeBron James, right? Rob had deals in place. He was going to go get Buddy Hield. The deal was signed, sealed, delivered, right? The Sacramento Kings were ready to go. And then they spurned the Kings and went and decided to get Westbrook because LeBron and Anthony Davis wanted Westbrook. That's not Rob's fault. But the problem is Rob's the GM, so he gets the backlash. Anytime anything's wrong, it's the backlash. Rob has done a great job of constantly improving the team and getting the best assets. Like, people forget Malik Monk. People thought Rob Pelinka was a god for that. And then they went and got Kendrick Nunn, and the whole league was like, man, something's got to be going on here. Like, there's no way they just got Malik Monk and Kendrick Nunn for a taxpayer and a vet minimum. I mean, he's made incredible moves and gotten some really good guys. And this year, a lot of people complain about like the roster spots or the guys that we've gotten in free agency. Who else was out there? There was nobody. Like, they got outside of like a handful of guys that weren't coming to Lakers anyway. Like Gary Payton II, Otto Porter, like those guys. Outside of them, we got basically every good free agent in this free agency. Like, we got both Damian Jones and Thomas Bryant, which people thought it was going to be just a huge success if we could get one of them. We got both of them. I mean, we got Walker the fourth. All that's like, we got a lot of really good pieces that, yes, they're not the greatest three-point shooters. Three-pointing is still going to be a struggle, but we got younger, we got athletic, we got better defensively. We got a lot of the things. Our problem wasn't scoring last year. As bad as we were shooting the three ball, our scoring was fine. We were one of the best scoring teams in the league. The problem was we had no defense. We would score 110 points and give up 120. Well, they rectified that. They went and got defensive-minded centers. Now Anthony Davis gets to go back. This is a younger 2020 team, like, in so many ways. Now it's just what happens with Westbrook. Next year will be a total disaster. I don't think so. Honestly, I think even if the team is as it stands, no pun intended, I still think they're a really good team. Healthy Anthony Davis, healthy LeBron James. You can't rule it out. Darvin Ham's going to run the 4-out, 1-in offense, which is going to help Westbrook tremendously. Beyond that, it's just, will they be able to work? Like, I'm saying, like, everything stands pat. We have Westbrook. We have everything. It's like, man, like, this kind of sucks. But let's see. I really think the Lakers are going to be a solid team. Now, are they a contender? Personally, if I'm being honest, I don't think so. But if they get into the playoffs, you never know. There's still nobody in the West that can guard Anthony Davis. There's still nobody in the West that can guard LeBron James. Like the Clippers probably have the best shot just because they have Kawhi and Paul George. So you could put them, on LeBron, and then maybe Kawhi can kind of make things difficult for AD. But still, you got a size advantage. Like a healthy, dominant Anthony Davis and a healthy, dominant LeBron James is as good as anybody else in the league. The only thing is 3-point shooting. Like, will we be able to knock down our three-pointers? But in that same breath, a lot of our guys, their three-point shooting is going to skyrocket tremendously because they're going to get shots and looks that they have never gotten before because you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And if you keep Westbrook, then you have Westbrook to distract and defer and, drive and kick. Or if you get Kyrie, you got Kyrie, however it shapes up. So I do think people are going to be a lot better, or the Lakers will be a lot better positioned this upcoming year. And like I said, I could be completely wrong. But personally, that's what I think. I think the Lakers are still in a good position. Real quick, shameless plug. If you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. I only got 8 likes, and I got 68 of you beautiful people here. So please hit that like button. It really does help out the stream during and after. And also, if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. I'm almost at 1,000 subs. We're about 300 away. Once I hit 1,000 subs, then I am officially monetized, and that would just be wonderful and beautiful. And I will have access to a lot more things to make these live streams a lot more entertaining and fun and do cooler things. So hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. It would mean a ton to me. I appreciate y'all. What's up? What's going on, Marcus? Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Everyone is going on vacation now. Deals get harder to get done. Absolutely. That is very true. But we live in a very different world than we did, even 10 years ago, so you're always connected. You're always there. I still, and again, I could be completely wrong. I still believe that the Lakers deal is, maybe not fully done, but it's there. I mean, the whole point of Sean Marks and Rob Pelinka going to Summer League was so the two of them could sit down and come to an agreement. I think the deal is done. Now, whether that means that they actually make it official and put pen to paper, it's not the same thing. I think, and it's been reported, that the understanding of the deal is done, that both sides know what it's going to take to get the deal done. I mean, Woj and Brian Windhorst said the same thing. They didn't say it was like a done deal, but they said both sides know and understand what the makeup of the trade is. Like, so I believe that both sides know what needs to be done. I do think, and this is something I'll try to catch up to some of the comments real quick, and then we'll dive into this unless somebody else mentions it. But I think New York could be a huge factor, like huge factor. But we'll dive into that in a minute. Let me get into some of these comments real quick, catch up with some people. Do you think this is a leverage play? Absolutely, I do. I think, like I said, Russell Westbrook fired his agent. I don't think you fire your agent and then the next day are like, yeah, my bad. Like, I better write it out. He fired his agent because he wanted to be traded. That was the whole point. Or according to his agent, I don't know why his agent would make that up. And then two, you're telling me Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and Russell Westbrook sat down, had a phone conversation, and then decided to call Mark Stein, out of all people, out of all the reporters, decided to call Mark Stein first and say, hey, buddy, we're going to write it out. But like I said, if you read the article, if you actually read what was said, it doesn't say that Russell Westbrook is staying around. It says if Russell Westbrook is there, that they all agreed to kind of figure it out and work it out. So that's something to keep in mind. The trade is not happening. We will see. You may be right, but we're trying to our first picks for two separate trades. Yes, we are. Absolutely. That's why they don't want to do the two trades. But I think it depends on the package. I mean, like if we can get, obviously we can get Buddy Hield and we can get, Kyrie Irving, then it's a home run. Boom. Right. But depending on how the trade shapes up, like the New York thing, like if New York gets involved and maybe you can get a Fournier and you could get, Seth Curry, something like that. Or like if you could give up the 2 first and you could get Seth, then that basically provides you the same thing Buddy Hield does. Neither are great defensively. Both of them shoot pretty much the same 3-point percentage. Joe Harris, you could get Joe Harris. If he's healthy, he's another Buddy Hield and Seth Curry. I mean, literally, go look up Joe Harris and Seth Curry's stats. They're identical. Like Seth is like a 0.3 or something like that better than Joe Harris. So they're the same 3-point wise, but Joe Harris is a bigger body, plays great defense, all of that stuff. I mean, you could get worse. And that's why I think if push comes to shove, I think the Lakers end up trading both picks if they have to. Would you entertain a Westbrook THT 27 first for Randall, Rose, Reddish, and Fournier? So here's the thing. So yes, I would, but I don't see the Lakers having to give up a first round pick in this deal because this is a mutually beneficial deal. And you can make the argument it's more beneficial for the Knicks than the Lakers. If anything, the Lakers may be able to squeeze out one of the Knicks draft picks. And I'm not talking about like New York's draft. New York's got like 17 first rounds or something crazy like that, right? They have 22 picks total. They have like 9 or 10 first round picks. Now, I'm not saying they're going to get a Knicks pick, but they could get, one of the other teams' picks that they have in their treasure chest and say, here you go, here's that. Because most people, some of you might be listening to this and go, no way, it's not going to happen. But look, the whole reason the Knicks want Russell Westbrook is to move off of those contracts right there. They want to move off Randall. They want to move off Fournier, all of those things. You don't just take on bad contracts and don't get anything in return. The Lakers are the ones that are actually helping the Knicks benefit tremendously, right? That's the whole thing. So and that's why I think, and so this would be a good point to talk about this. So that's why I think that the Knicks trade could be the huge leverage play to get Kyrie. Because let's say, because it all is predicated on Donovan Mitchell going to the Knicks, right? That's the whole point. So they get Donovan Mitchell, right? They hit up the Lakers. Hey, we want Russell Westbrook for salary relief. Okay, fine. We'll give you Randall, Rose, Reddish, because they were going to trade Reddish and for THT. There was a deal done last year. Like THT was going to Toronto. Cam Reddish was going to the Lakers. And I don't remember what the Knicks were getting. I think they were getting a first or something like that. And then they called and they wanted another one, and the Knicks ruined it. So I can see Reddish being a part of the deal. Julius Randle, Rose, and Evan Fournier. Something like basically what you have here, except for instead of the Lakers giving a first, Knicks probably give up some random first that they don't value. Say, here you go. Then the Lakers at that point would have 3 first rounds for 3 first rounders, Julius Randle, Derrick Rose, Cam Reddish, and Evan Fournier that they could now use to go to the Nets and say, hey, do you like any of these players? The Nets might want Derrick Rose, right? You're losing Kyrie Irving, right? Wouldn't it be good to get Derrick Rose, like have another point guard on your team that can do a lot of the same, that provides a lot of the same, that I'm not saying Rose and Kyrie are the same player, but Rose would offer a lot of the same things, that slasher, that driver. Hey, would you want Julius Randle or Evan Fournier in the deal? Something like that. So I could see some of these pieces going to the Nets. And then the Lakers end up with, like, let's just say they end up with Cam Reddish, they end up with Joe Harris, they end up with Kyrie Irving, and maybe Evan Fournier, something like that. And they kind of just whatever, they throw in a winning Gabriel or something like that to make the salary match. You got these 3 teams in the deal. I think that is a huge possibility. Then the Nets also get, like, say, 2 first-round picks, right? Because these kind of players would be valuable for the Nets because the Nets are a team that can't tank. They have to remain competitive. So if you could get a guy like, Derrick Rose and maybe Julius Randle, then that could be beneficial for the Nets because you got 2 guys that can help you win and compete now. And they're, and especially if Randle can be the Randle from the Knicks 2 years ago, like, then that's hugely beneficial. So I could see the Knicks, if, again, Donovan Mitchell has to go there based on the reports. But if that happens, I could see a 3-team deal getting done between the Nets, the Knicks, and the Lakers. And the Lakers end up with Kyrie, and then insert your other players that you want to keep. Rob does definitely not need to go. Rob is wonderful. I wouldn't say no one wants Russ. The Knicks want Russ, right? That's the whole point. Westbrook is game-breaking negatively. I mean, for the Lakers, yes. I still believe Russ is a solid guy. I mean, I still believe he's a 30-point triple-double guy. I just don't think he's a good fit with the Lakers. He's a guy that needs the ball like 90% of the time. It's overdue. We are going to keep Russell Westbrook, but this pisses me off. I wouldn't say that. I mean, you never know. It's very possible, but I wouldn't say that. Like I said, if you read the report, it doesn't say Russell Westbrook is staying. It says if they end up keeping the team intact, then they're willing to make it work. So it wasn't a make. Like I said, you guys got to read the reports. You can't just read the headlines because the headlines make it seem like, oh, Russell Westbrook is staying with the Lakers. That's not what the report says. Read the report. It tells you otherwise. I like Russ. Just doesn't fit with you. Isn't either Kyrie or nothing because no one is giving up a role for a little player. Exactly. I like Russ. I think is still that dude. I just think he's in a bad position, bad spot, all of those things. So I do. I still like. I really believe like wherever Russ ends up, he's gonna ball. I think a lot of people are really underestimating Russell Westbrook. I really do. That's just me personally. The trade isn't happening anymore. I wouldn't say that, my friend. You never know. What else we got? We all puked last year when they traded for Russ. This trade ended up being worse than we expected. I agree with that. I mean, the whole world knew it was a bad fit, but the Lakers did it anyway. I think you're doing good, keeping us updated. Give me something to do before bed and work. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Seriously, thank you. I just, like I said, I'm just reporting the information, giving my thoughts, and then I open up to you to let you know. Some people love it, some people hate it. I get it, but nonetheless, Nets biding their time to get the right deal for KD. Kyrie trade parameters to Lakers agreed upon. Yeah, I believe that too. I mean, like I said, everyone that's reputable has said the same thing. Like the Nets and the Lakers know what the deal is. So I agree. Leverage play. LeBron got AD. I mean, they were going to make that trade. That trade wouldn't have happened if LeBron was there, but yeah. We shouldn't have traded for Westbrook last year. I agree, but happens a lot when your superstars want a specific player and you can make it happen. You usually do it, and then it's hey, it's their fault. Your infos are up to date and you try to speak truthfully, but the news are often slighted or your views are sometimes biased because normal for fans. No man is perfect. Absolutely. I mean, look, I try to be as unbiased as possible with things, but as a Laker fan, my Laker bias, of course, bleeds out sometimes. I mean, when I'm talking about other sports and other teams and certain Laker stuff, like I could be a bias. I talk negatively about the Lakers all the time because I try to be biased, try to be as real as possible. But problem is that I'm talking about reports that are just that. They're just reports. They're just rumors. Like there's no way to know what is factual and what's not. And I tell people, like look at like ESPN, Fox Sports One, stuff like that. They wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for them talking about fake reports and rumors and stuff. Other than that, it'd just be highlights. So, Rob should have gave DeRozan a deal. I agree with that. Hindsight is always 2020, though, right? Look, the Laker tax is real. We have soon stars traded for pennies on the dollar, but everyone wants to fleece the Lakers. Of course, nobody wants to get fleeced by the Lakers. Lakers have fleeced so many teams throughout the years. Nobody wants to be that team that's like, man, they got us. Rob is definitely not awful. Rob is a good GM. He has a lot of misses. DeRozan, Caruso, Hield, Westbrook. So DeRozan, yes, was an absolute miss. DeRozan and Hield happened because of LeBron James, because LeBron and Davis wanted Westbrook. That's what that happened. You can't fault Rob for that. He has two superstars. He has his two franchise guys coming to you and saying, we want Russell Westbrook over DeRozan and Hield. Guess what's going to happen? At some point, you gotta go with your stars. Whether they're right or wrong, and the stars have to deal with it. Should Rob have said no? Yeah, probably. But I mean, they won a championship for him. You can't be too mad. No matter what Rob should be known, Westbrook wasn't going to work because he's not about the team. Rob should have went with this guy. Absolutely. But you got to understand, do you want to keep guys like LeBron happy? Every team did it. I mean, Miami was the only team that really kind of stuck to their guns with LeBron. And even they caved a little bit. But, at some point you gotta look. It's not Rob's fault. Like if you're the GM and Anthony Davis and LeBron James come to you and say, we want Russell Westbrook over, DeRozan and Buddy Hield, yeah, you could say no, but now you have two pissed off superstars. That's bad. That's really bad. It's not worth losing your job over because you could always defer, hey, they wanted him, Dude, you're tripping. Rob drafted most of our young guys, dealt them for a chip. We got the chip, got the stars. Rob did his job. Of course, you're going to try to run with the tail tuck in when things are rough, 5 seed. I mean, I would have made that trade 10 times out of 10. You traded a bunch of guys. You traded a bunch of road young guys to go and get a superstar in Anthony Davis. And that year you win a championship. However you feel about that championship, they still win a championship. There are teams in the league that have never even been to a finals, let alone won a championship. People don't understand how hard it is to win a championship in this league. And the Lakers made the right call. Which one of our young guys is so good they're leading their team in a deep playoff runs? None of them. They're all either on teams that aren't even making the playoffs or their first round exits or their play-in teams. None of the guys we traded are groundbreaking players. None of the guys we got rid of are Anthony Davis level players. Maybe we give up too much? Sure, but we won a championship, so who cares? None of that team wasn't going to lead us to a championship. And not just that, you got to pay all those guys. So it's like, so you're going to get rid of half of them anyway. So if Russ stays, this will be one of the worst shooting teams in the league. I mean, statistically, based on last year, they would be dead last in the league. At this point, I just want the team to trade for a fit better than Russ. I can understand that. And I do think a trade will happen. I mean, even Woj earlier today said a Lakers trade is, going to happen at some point. Doesn't mean it's Kyrie, but a Laker trade happens. What else? Oh, I do agree that Kyrie will be traded to Lakers soon. I am a Laker fan, so there's some bias, of course. Also took Kyrie to the Laker middle of last season at 9-1, so I'm rooting. Yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing. And I'm sure the Nets have thought about this. Right now, we could go get one first round pick from the Lakers, right? We're going to play hardball. What happens if Kyrie Irving decides to not play for us? We lost all our leverage in the trade. Now the Lakers don't have to give up anything. It's like, would you rather have a guy that will play for you, or would you rather have a guy that's sitting, especially if the Nets are a disaster? Like, let's say Kevin Durant misses another 30 games this year, and he doesn't have James Harden and Kyrie. Ben Simmons isn't playing for him, and they're not even a playoff team, or they're another play-in team. Like, the Nets lost all their leverage, and at that point, you're probably getting nothing. You're lucky to get a swap for Westbrook at that point. You can't tell me the Nets haven't thought about that, So just something. Go Lakers, yes. I don't think the deal isn't done anymore. I mean, it might not be. It might have never been done. Who knows? Any guess is a good guess. But like I said, if you read the article, it doesn't say Russell Westbrook is staying. It doesn't say that at all. I mean, there was a report this morning that Russell Westbrook was gone, from more credible sources than Mark Stein. Let's see. That conversation was before Summer League games, so something must have happened in between that time. It's very possible. I mean, like I said, things change, especially in the NBA. Things change on the fly, right? 1 minute, things are this way. The next minute, boom, things change, Absolutely, the league hates us, but it's not like they're just giving Kyrie away. It's not like it's just like, oh, okay. Like, and do the Nets really want to lose Kyrie for nothing? I don't think so. Here's the thing. If the Lakers even had one other team they were competing with, then it would be a problem right now. But there's nobody. It's the Lakers or bust. So it's like, what do you want to do? Do you really want to lose them for nothing? And you got to remember, Cy, the owner of the Nets, wants Kyrie gone. He doesn't want Kyrie there. He doesn't like Kyrie. He wants him gone. I mean, the owner himself in an interview, you can look up the interview. He says himself, I'd rather have a 40-win team that I am proud of than the team I have now, or something along those lines. Like, he doesn't want Kyrie there. Kyrie to Vegas, Lakers Vegas odds at 125, Nets plus 425 Vegas. Vegas is very rarely wrong. Very rarely wrong. If the Lakers were to trade that and take Randall, they're not going to keep Randall. It'll likely be. I don't see the Knicks trade for Westbrook happening, just like straight up. I very highly doubt it's just Knicks and Lakers. I think it'll be a 3-team deal. Very likely it'll be Randall going to some team. The Lakers aren't going to take Randall. Like I said, it's very likely that it's a Nets, Knicks, and Lakers deal, where a couple of those pieces go to the Nets. Lakers end up with Kyrie and a couple other people like Fournier or something like that, and then there you go. The Lakers ain't trading both of those picks. Lakers have the leverage because nobody wants Kyrie. Joe Harris is coming off injury and choked in the playoffs. That's why they traded for Curry. Yes, I agree with you 100%. Like, the Lakers have, like, people like to say the Lakers have no leverage, but literally the definition of leverage is like, that, like, I am the only one that wants supply and demand. How many people want him? Nobody. There are plenty of teams keep coming out of the woodworks wanting Westbrook. Whether it's true or not, at least there's reports that teams want Westbrook. No reports are coming. The Nets tried to say that the Mavericks and the Sixers wanted Kyrie, and immediately both of those teams were like, absolutely not. We don't want anything. We don't want to go anywhere near Kyrie Irving. Like, the Nets are the ones that they don't have any leverage here. What is the leverage? The Lakers could just stand pat, sign Kyrie in the offseason, run it as is, keep your assets, keep your draft picks. Maybe you can get a mid-tier guy at some point during the playoffs, something, and you're good. Like, no matter how you shake it, the Lakers are going to be in a good spot either way. Are they a contender without Kyrie? I don't think so, but I wouldn't doubt them. A healthy Anthony Davis, a healthy LeBron James, you can't rule that team out. And especially if Darvin Ham can even get Westbrook to be half effective, I mean, that's pretty solid. More teams in trade, more pieces can be moved. So no accommodates all parties. Multi-team trades, very tricky and beyond. Don't get me wrong, multiple team trades are extremely difficult to pull off. But they happen regularly. They happen very often. And I do think it's very, very likely. But we'll see. Look, you get Kyrie and a shooter, then the roster makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, except teams might take Kyrie over us all day, but where are those teams? Like seriously, because like I see comments like this all the time. Like, where are those teams? How come there's nothing about any teams other than the Lakers wanting Kyrie Irving? Nothing. It is stagnant. And the two teams that were rumored to want Kyrie Irving both came out as soon as it was reported. I mean, they didn't even give it a day. It was reported, and as soon as it was reported, boom, both teams are like, nope, not happening. What else? Yes, but Kyrie only wants to play with the Lakers. He is a free agent, and teams lose assets. Yeah, exactly. That's why no teams are going to trade for him. Like, if Kyrie got bought out, yeah, I'm sure there'd be teams that go at it, but no team is going to trade for Kyrie Irving. No team is going to want to give up assets for a guy that's unreliable and only wants to go to the Lakers. Like, you're not going to do a 1-year rental. It's not going to happen. So that's why there's no teams. If there were other teams, we would have heard about it. You hear nothing about it. It's the Lakers over and over again every day. That's all it is. Do you think we still make a trade? I feel like this is a leverage play, like how the Nets said they are willing to keep it. Absolutely. That's 100% what I think it is. Like I mentioned earlier, look at it like this. Russell Westbrook fired his agent because he wanted to be traded, and the agent said you should stay and stick it out. The three of them supposedly had a phone conversation about, sticking together and riding it out if Westbrook is on the team. That's another thing. People got to read the articles. If you read the article, it doesn't say that Westbrook is staying. It says if he stays, they are willing to work it out. Basically, that Russell Westbrook won't be a headache if he ends up staying. If he stays with the Lakers, he's going to honor his contract and do what is necessary to win a championship, right? So if that's the case, right, that this is nothing more than a leverage play. Because the three of them, you're telling me, got on the phone, had a phone conversation, and then immediately called Mark Stein and was like, hey, buddy, out of all the report, out of everything, they called Mark Stein and said, hey, we're going to stick it out for a year. I don't buy it. Maybe it did happen, but I just don't buy it. I just don't. It doesn't add up. Why would Westbrook fire his agent and then a day later decide, oh, yeah, never mind, my bad. I just don't see it. But real quick, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. It helps me out a lot. It really does help get more people in the stream. We got 150 people in the stream. So hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Help me reach that illustrious 1,000 subscriber goal. We're almost there. I'd really appreciate that. Lakers got 2 to 3 months to make trades, whole offseason. You're crazy. Yeah. We're still a ways away. Like, you still got a lot of time to get this done. We don't need to rush. We don't need to hurry it up and, whatever. Like, we have the Lakers are doing the right thing by being patient. They really are. They are doing the absolute right thing by just sticking it out. You have nothing to lose. Just stick it out. But what else we got? Oh no. There we go. Got to give it to you. You are good at making a disaster not seem like it's. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Maybe it's a skill of mine. I think the trade for Kyrie is not going to happen, and the Lakers are trying to pivot for Buddy or Josh Richardson. It's very possible. Look, the Lakers are very likely going to make another trade. I just think the Lakers got to know something, because if the Lakers really believed they had no chance in getting Kyrie Irving, I believe that they would have moved on by now. They know. And that's why I keep, spitting out that I think the deal is inherently done. I just, people always ask, why hasn't it been announced? There could be a million reasons why it hasn't been announced yet. But I really believe the Lakers would have moved. If the Lakers wanted to trade for Buddy Hield or Josh Richardson or whoever, they would have likely made the trade already, but they're riding it out, Article was before the start of Summer League. Makes sense why Russ didn't talk to LeBron. Yes, very true. Very, very true. we need to trade THT now. A shooter is a must. I believe, and I believe they will. I believe whether it's in the Kyrie deal or another deal, I believe we'll end up getting some shooters. I still believe Russ will be traded to. Like I said, if you read the report, it doesn't say Westbrook is staying. It says that if he is there, that he's not. Basically, he's just not going to be. He's not going to be a headache. He's not going to pull a Kyrie and sit or anything like that. He's going to do. He's going to do what he needs to do in order to help the team be successful. Hey, what's up? I still able to get up and make it in here. I appreciate you, DM. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here. Braun just needs to get one more chip to totally successful LeBron era, in my opinion. I think it's very likely he still could. I mean, he's still got a lot in the tank. You know, I mean, as old as he is, he's pretty impressive. It really is. But what's your opinion about the Lakers' future cap space and who they could be targeting? So, as far as I mean, the whole reason the Lakers don't want to take on like Joe Harris, stuff like that, or make a deal to take on cap space, stuff like that, because they want to preserve cap space. The Lakers will have likely $80 to $100 million in cap space next year for, whether it's LeBron and Kyrie or, whatever, a couple pieces, whatever ends up happening, right? You basically have Anthony Davis and $100 million in cap. That's a good position to be in. So I believe any trade the Lakers make, if it's attached with somebody that is a long-term salary, it's going to be a deal like the Kyrie deal, like Joe Harris and Kyrie, something like that. They're not just going to take on salary just to take on salary. They're just not going to do it. They want to keep that cap flexibility, which makes sense. Of course you would want to. Now, as far as who can be targeted, problem is a lot of the guys that were free agents next year that are like the big names all signed extensions. And the ones that have could still sign extensions or likely re-sign with their team for a new deal. So right now, it's gonna be interesting to see. Next year's offseason might be as bad as this one, depending on how things shape up. Dave McMahon just said KD doesn't want Kyrie on the Nets on the Low podcast. That is interesting. I'm gonna have to go check that out after. I don't doubt it. I really don't. The owner doesn't want. Nobody wants Kyrie on the Nets. That's what I'm saying. Like nobody does. They all want Kyrie gone. That's why I think the trade is going to happen. Whether it's tomorrow, whether it's a week from now, a month from now, whatever. I really believe, and I could be completely wrong. And I will be the first to admit, hey, I was wrong. But everything shows that Kyrie is not wanted on the Nets, and Kyrie no longer wants to be on the Nets. So, I just really wish they get this trade over with. Russell has to go like ASAP. I get it. Believe me, it's frustrating and it gets tiresome at times. You're like, come on, like let's let it go. Like, come on, let's get it done. But Lakers are doing the right thing by just being patient. Just be patient. That's all it is. What we got? Bro, I'm not a Laker fan. About your commentary that only acquiring Kyrie is a game changer. I disagree on that. Kyrie will not go to the Lakers, but if AD is ready to go, you are a contender. Look, I agree that AD is the factor. Even if we get Kyrie, I don't think we're a contender without a dominant Anthony Davis. But Kyrie, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James are a contender if everyone's healthy and everyone's good. Now, the reason I said nobody but Kyrie is a game changer is because there is who can the Lakers trade for right now? Realistically, who can the Lakers trade for right now that is a game changer more than Kyrie Irving? Buddy Hield does not move the needle very much. He provides you 3-point shooting. That's great, but you need more than just one 3-point shooter. At least Kyrie can do multiple things other than just knocking down threes, and he's a better fit with Davis and LeBron. Now, I do think the Lakers, if Anthony Davis is playing bubble Anthony Davis basketball and LeBron James looks like LeBron James, nobody wants to play the Lakers in a 7-game series. I don't care whether we have Westbrook or not, no one wants to play the Lakers in a 7-game series. But realistically, I don't think we're a contender. If we get Kyrie, I do think we are. But everything falls on Anthony Davis, 100%. Yeah, I gotta check it out. I'm assuming it broke while I was on this live stream. I've been on the live stream for a while now, so I'll definitely check in here. Let's see if you guys be patient with me for a second. Let's see if we can find it. Multitask here. Is it? Does anyone know if it's on Bleacher Report? Because then I can just pull it up immediately. Here. In the meantime, while this is loading, let me just. No, I don't see anything. The only thing I see is teams are expressing interest in Reeves. The Lakers better not trade Reeves. But anyway, I'll look into that report here soon and maybe get a video up on it. But I'll don't want to take too much away from this. It's hard to trade a player that no one wants. I agree, absolutely. I can see 4 to 5 team trade, too complex to break down. I don't think it'll be that complicated, at least for the Kyrie. For the Kevin Durant trade, I think that's probably the only way it's going to happen. Kyrie Irving, I think, will be a 3-team deal. I think very likely Westbrook goes one place. The Nets get the first rounds and maybe like some, THT or something like that. And then Kyrie gets the Lakers. That's what I think will end up happening. Healed will be a good piece for you guys. It's all about 80's condition for you. Kyrie is no more a possibility, clearly. I don't know. According to the Dave report, it's still a very real possibility. Like I said, there has been nothing that indicates Kyrie Irving is unreachable. I mean, Woj today said it's not dead and that it's still a real possibility. Just neither of them are like in a rush or feel an urgency to get it done. Let's see. You don't give up picks for Hield. I mean, depends on what your team looks like. I think right now you don't, just because I don't think Hield makes you a contender. So I just think, I would rather. And this is just me. You guys can let me know in the chat as well if you agree. I would rather the Lakers, instead of giving up a first and trading a bunch of stuff to go get Buddy Hield, give Cole Schweider a shot. Because Cole Schweider is going to be the exact same thing Buddy Hield offers. The only thing is the experience. That would be an issue. But at least you keep your assets. Because if you don't get Kyrie, you're likely not a contender this year anyway. And I do believe a lot of these guys' percentages, 3-point percentages, I think a lot of them are going to go up just because you're playing with LeBron James, you're playing with Anthony Davis. These guys are going to get more open looks than they've ever gotten in their career. So, and I do agree that they do need shooting ASAP, but they do. But if no one wants them, it doesn't matter. And you need Kyrie to play. That's the problem too. And if he does play, you need him to actually be Kyrie and not just some guy that's just standing there to get a paycheck. He's just showing up so he doesn't get fined. Whose man is this? What is going on, Buck? I appreciate you being here. Don't get confused, guys. Don't go with the media. I mean, the media is all over the place. That's the problem. The issue is, like, there's just no consistent reports, one way or the other. Like, it's all like, you have one person come out and they say one thing, and then like an hour later, it's something else. And then an hour later, it's like, man, like, come on. I think that since the beginning, Kyrie wanted to stay in Brooklyn. He and the Nets fan childhood and all the extension, Lakers emerged a cold war between the Nets and Kyrie. Yeah, I absolutely believe that Kyrie Irving wanted to stay with the Nets originally. I don't doubt that at all. And then when the Nets were like, we're not going to extend you, like, and then the owner basically said, I don't want Kyrie Irving and all that stuff. That changed everything. And then Kai was like, all right, fine. You guys don't want me. I'll go to Lakers. And that's where we're at. Personally, that's what I think. Yeah, I agree with you. Janine also said that changes will be made. And I think there's no way Russ can come back. Yeah. I think it's inevitable that a trade happens. Whether it's Kyrie or not, or it's somebody else, I think it's inevitable that a trade happens. Lakers are valuing picks and cap space. Look at the roster moves and decisions dating back to last year. It's obvious they are thinking about the future. I agree 100% with you, Sonny. They should just trade LeBron. If you're not committed to winning, then why keep LeBron? The problem is, what are you going to get right now that could help you win other than Kyrie. And you don't. The thing is too is you don't have anyone you're competing with. No one. There's not another team in the league that wants Kyrie Irving. So you're literally negotiating with yourself. Like, why would you talk yourself out of a discussion? Like if I have something that you want and you're the only one that wants it, I don't have much sales leverage here. If I want $100,000 for this and you're like, I'll give you 10, and it's the market sets the price, and right now the market is the Lakers. That's it. So the Lakers set the price, Yes, exactly. Only one team wins it all. Yes, absolutely. The media, come on. The media doesn't like LeBron and the Lakers due to the fact Bron is always the center of attention and wanting to elevate likable Curry. Look at the tea leaves. I mean, the media does give Bron no love sometimes. I mean, they love to talk about him, but I mean, look at guys like Stephen A. and Skip. Like, I can't even listen to Skip no more because it's just nonsense. Like, but look, everyone knows the formula is surrounding LeBron with 3 and D. We're halfway there. We just got to be patient. Exactly. Patience is key. We're only competing with ourselves. So this is exhausting, man. Russ is not going without a fight. Bro, 4 teams in 5 years. I agree. I agree. It is. It's crazy. He's probably going to be on a 5th team in 5 years. LeBron is older now and needs another shot creator. LeBron can't win with just 3 and D surrounding, especially nowadays. And that's why I think they're being patient for Kyrie. I just think they know, like, Kyrie provides more than just another scorer. It provides a shot creator, a guy that can do multiple things. You may have to buy out Russ. He can get $15 million easy from another team. That might be enough to get a shooter like Joe Harris, a first-round pick. We'll do an exchange. Like, if you can't trade Russ, I just think you might as well just keep him. Like, why are you going to buy him out? And, like, even if you negotiate or you work, like, I just think if you can't find somebody to take Russ, you're better off just riding it for the year and hope that you can make it work. Hope that you can figure it out. I mean, like, what are your other options? Yeah, you could do a buyout, but that doesn't help you in any way. Unless Russell Westbrook just becomes a complete headache and locker room issue, then yeah. But I just don't see Russ being that guy. Like, Russ isn't going to be like Kyrie. I could see sitting the whole season and just not playing. I don't see Russell Westbrook being that guy. This feels like LeBron, the GM, is just making sure Westbrook doesn't blow up his Kyrie trade before pen hits paper. I agree. Lakers equal leverage. I'm with you. Lakers get Kyrie, they're winning all. I think it's a very real possibility. Very real possibility. Kyrie didn't get a contract extension, so he's gone. Yeah, I agree 100%. I really believe that he is upset because they didn't extend him. They clearly showed that they don't want him. What's going on, Angie? Appreciate you being here. Hey, Fate, I think getting Kyrie on the Lakers is a huge win, especially with his handles and him as a point guard. Westbrook hasn't been doing too hot lately. Yeah, Kyrie is just the perfect fit. It's the perfect placement for what the Lakers need and stuff like that. I do. I think it's good. Everything takes time. Everything takes time, man. Most trade, like, look at the Harden trade. Like, Harden was rumored to be traded, and it took like a month and a half, 2 months before he was finally traded. Like, all like the big trades take time. They take weeks, months. It's just because no team wants to get screwed. They want to make sure all their T's are crossed, all their I's are dotted, all of that stuff. Although I wouldn't be surprised if the Nets keep Kyrie to potentially get a title. I don't completely rule it out. I just think Kyrie has the power to just force that trade and just say, hey, if you don't trade me, I'm not going to play. Like, I could see that happening completely. Kyrie's going to play the mandates, ruin the Nets. Yeah. But what about all the other times? Like, people throw out a lot with Kyrie and just like, all of the, like, oh yeah, it was just the mandates. It was just this, like, it's just that. But what about like when Kyrie took a 2-week vacation with his family in the middle of a season? What about when Kyrie missed 3 days because he needed a personal time, like in the middle of a season? What about the times that he just was constantly late to practice, didn't even show up to practice at times? And I understand, insert the Allen Iverson practice. We talking about practice. I get that. I get all of that. But still, like, you're trying to build camaraderie with your team. You're trying to build a brotherhood. You're trying to be one mind, one body, one everything for a purpose. And I just think that Kyrie has shown that he cares about too many other things in basketball. Basketball is like the last thing on his list, and his talent is incredible. But he's a guy that we've seen him sit down on his principles, and I respect the hell out of him for that. He lost a lot for his beliefs, more than most people would have given up. So I really do. I respect the hell out of him. But he is very flaky. It's beyond that. Even if you remove that the guy's been injured year in and year out. The guy misses like 20, 30 games a season. It's more than just the mandates. Katie and Kyrie are going to stay with the Nets, and Russ is staying too. This trade should have been happened. I don't know. According to what people are saying about I got to read the report, but apparently Kevin Durant doesn't want Kyrie in with the Nets. Too many conflicting reports. I agree, 100%. 100%. It's hard to keep up. It really is. It really feels like the Nets are trying to squeeze that second pick, but Lakers aren't budging, and now it's a game of chicken. That's exactly what it is. Because the first one to blink loses, so you're better. And you have a month. You still have a month and a half before you need to start preparing and getting ready for training camp. So the Lakers don't have to rush. That's why you keep hearing reports like neither side is really trying to pursue this heavily, because both sides know the deal. Both sides know what the other side is willing to take and what they're willing to give up. It's just who's going to blink before the season begins. It might not, but I really do. I really believe it's going to. And I could be wrong, but we'll see. Hey, I'm Milwaukee Bucks fans, and I know this question won't be LA Lakers related. Hey, it's all right. No worries. I appreciate you being here. I welcome all people. But what is your opinion on free agency deal for Joe Ingles to the Bucks? I think that was a low risk, high reward deal. Joe Ingles is nice. Joe Ingles is solid. A lot of questions and concerns with his injuries. The beauty is him signing with the Bucks. The Bucks don't need him like right away. So Joe Ingles can take his time to kind of get back into the swing of things, get back into, game shape, all of that. If Joe Ingles can be Joe Ingles from Utah, that was that 3-and-D guy that could get you, 25 any given night and just, play some solid defense. Not the world's greatest defender, but he's a solid defender, all that stuff. I think he's going to fit in with the Bucks seamlessly. Like, this was a prove-it deal for Joe Ingles. And it was it's the perfect spot because, like I said, the Bucks don't need him. He doesn't have to rush back. He doesn't have to sprint back in and run the risk of re-injuring himself or something along those lines. So I do. I think that was a huge, huge pickup for Milwaukee. I still think Milwaukee is likely going to win the championship again. I think they are still the best team in the East as things currently stand. And I think that they were a Chris Middleton away from being in the finals and likely winning again. I think Milwaukee matched up way better with Golden State than Boston did. So I'm big on Milwaukee. So, but again, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. And again, if you guys haven't hit that like button, I know I keep reiterating it, but it's important. It really is. It really helps the channel. If you haven't hit the like button, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, it really mean a ton to me. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Trying to get to 1,000 subs. As soon as I get to 1,000 subs, I'll be able to do a lot more here on this channel like I do on As It Stands, stuff like that. So I'd really appreciate if you haven't hit that subscribe button or that like button, please do both. Or if you've done one, do the other. Thank you. Lakers just need to trade Russell Westbrook. I agree, and I do think it's a matter of when, not if. I think they'll sooner or later he's going to be gone. I'd be surprised at this point if he starts the season with the Lakers. It's that simple. Kyrie will play well with LeBron. I agree. But here's the thing, too. I don't think LeBron leaves next season if they sign Kyrie outright either. Because here's the thing, too. We got to keep this in mind also. I see a lot of people that are like, you need to get it done for LeBron. He's not going to sign the extension on stuff. I don't believe LeBron was going to sign the extension anyway. Because, maybe he signs like a year or 2-year extension. Very likely LeBron's just going to be on 1+1s until he decides to leave. And the only way he leaves is for his son, whatever team he goes to, or he decides to retire and he wants to retire at Cavs. And he goes to the Cavs for a year or a month or whatever and then retires. Until then, I don't see him leaving the Lakers. Because one, he went to the Lakers not for basketball reasons. When LeBron was a free agent, he could have went to 15 different teams that could have signed him at that point and immediately won a title and immediately been a contender and likely still a contender. But he went to the Lakers for after basketball. Like, I want to get myself established for the future after basketball. And he did it. He became a billionaire immediately. Like, he's networked. He's built all these brands. He's got all this stuff that he wouldn't have had otherwise. So he didn't go to the Lakers just for basketball. Like, that's why I don't buy LeBron's bluff. It worked in Cleveland and it worked with Miami, all of that stuff. And Miami ended up losing him because of it. But where is he going to go? And not just that, let's say he does want to leave. Where's he going to go? Any team that can sign him, he's not going to want to go to because no contenders can sign him. And then any contender that, maybe would take him, they're not going to sell the farm for LeBron. And LeBron ain't taking a taxpayer exception or something like that. No, the Lakers can pay him the most. The Lakers can keep him the most and he'd still be a contender. The Lakers can very likely sign Kyrie because the Nets aren't just going to magically give him an extension now. Like, however you shake it, LeBron has nowhere to go because anywhere he goes, teams aren't going to likely be able to sign and trade for him. So, like, that's why I have no fear LeBron's leaving. Maybe he does, but I don't see how it's going to happen. Yes, very appealing to other teams. That's why we keep hearing teams popping out of the woodworks. A lot of people say nobody wants Westbrook, but it's like once a week there's a new team that wants Westbrook. You can't tell me all of them are lying. Like, there's got to at least be one or two teams that want him. And now it's the Knicks. Now the Knicks want him. Facts. What about the rumor of getting Julius Randle back? Russ going to the Knicks. The media was talking about that today. Yeah, so I touched on it earlier, but yeah, this is a good point to touch on it again. I'm sure there's a lot of new people from earlier. But so I actually think this deal very likely could be the key to getting Kyrie Irving to the Lakers because, one, the Lakers, if they do this deal, they're not going to have to give up any draft picks because you're doing the Knicks a huge solid. And this entire deal is predicated on the Knicks getting Donovan Mitchell, right? That's the whole point. Right, they want to get Donovan Mitchell and then unload Fournier, Rose, Randall to go get the salary relief. Okay, so you're not going to have to give up a pick. If anything, you could probably get the Knicks to give up a pick because you're doing them a favor, right? So I'm not saying you're going to get a New York pick, but New York's got like 22 draft picks, right? I mean, they're probably going to lose like 8 of them in the Donovan Mitchell trade, but they're still going to have several draft picks. So you give the least favorable first-round pick, you give that to the Lakers. The Lakers take on Julius Randle, Derrick Rose, Evan Fournier, probably get Cam Reddish in there too because the Lakers wanted him, and the Knicks almost traded him to the Lakers. So you get that deal worked out. All is right in the world. And then very likely, now you have the assets and players to go trade with the Knicks for Kyrie Irving. Because maybe the Nets would like Derrick Rose, right? Because if you're getting rid of Kyrie Irving, wouldn't it be nice to get a guy in like Derrick Rose that provides you a lot of the same things? Maybe they'd like Derrick Rose and Julius Randle because the Nets need to be competitive. They need to stay relevant. They're in a very weird situation where they don't own any of their own draft picks till like 2027 or 2028, something like that. So they can't tank. So they have no choice but to remain competitive. So now your deal isn't just, Westbrook and a first for, and maybe a second for Kyrie and Joe Harris. Now it's, here's one of our first, here's a Knicks first, from whatever team they get. Here's a first from the Knicks trade. Here's a first from us. And then, here's, Derrick Rose and Julius Randle. We take Kyrie Irving. There you go. And then boom. Beautiful world. Everyone wins. The Knicks get their cap relief. Lakers get Kyrie, likely Evan Fournier, and maybe like a Joe Harris or Seth Curry or something like that. Lakers still get to keep a first-round pick, so maybe they can still go do the Buddy Hield trade. You get what I'm saying? Like there's possibilities there. It just opens the door for more potentials in this trade. Kyrie is 30 years old. AD is 29. They will both be able to help the Lakers next 3 or 4 years and get 2 titles. Will be worth it. I agree. I mean, that's the beauty is that they're young enough to where they're still likely going to be in their prime when LeBron's gone. So you'd still have Kyrie and Anthony Davis going forward, even post LeBron. Like that's a pretty good position to be in. I don't care. I don't understand why the Lakers care about the last 2 picks. They have left. They're giving up everything else. So I don't. So here's the thing. I don't think that they believe or that they overvalue those picks. They just want to make the right deal, and the Lakers very likely want to make more than just one trade. Just think Kyrie Irving. Lakers don't like if the Lakers like. Let's just say whatever. Let's say the Mavs are a team that all of a sudden wants Kyrie Irving. I think the Lakers trade those 2 first-round picks immediately. The thing is that nobody else wants Kyrie Irving but the Lakers. Why am I going to give up both my firsts when I don't have to? Kyrie Irving's just going to sign with us for free next year, and guess what? He might not even play for you. Do you want that headache? Kevin Durant doesn't want him. The owner doesn't want him. Nobody wants him on his team. He's doing everything he can to force his way to the Lakers. Like, what are your options? It's you either get something or you get nothing. What would you rather have? That's my only thing. Do you think the Nets are hoping KD will want to stay? I believe KD does not want Russ for a year. So the Nets need a 3-team deal to make him. KD might not have a choice but to stay for a year. I mean, the well is drying up fast. Now, I do believe any Westbrook trade is likely going to be a 3rd team involved. And I think that could be one of the reasons why it isn't a done deal yet, because the Lakers don't want to give up 2 firsts. And a team like the Spurs, they're not just going to take Russell Westbrook out of the kindness of their heart, So you got to give up a first for them. And that's why I think as Laker fans, we need to hope and pray that Donovan Mitchell goes to the Knicks. I really do. I think that we need to, whatever you got to do, petition, whatever. Donovan Mitchell needs to go to the Knicks. Because if Donovan Mitchell goes to the Knicks, now the Knicks become a suitor for Russell Westbrook, and they'd probably be willing to give up a first or some assets to acquire him for the salary relief. It's the same thing, right? Like, you want salary relief, here you go. But the Knicks would be in a position where they really need the salary relief because they need to extend RJ Barrett. Now you're over the cap with Donovan Mitchell, and you need as much cap as possible. I'm telling you, I think it's gonna be a different world. LeBron James thinks so. I think LeBron looks in the mirror every day and says that. I don't think KD is going anywhere. I don't either. All of this is about moving KD. He doesn't want to disrespect Kyrie by going to management. So, but the thing is, though, is that supposedly, I haven't read the report yet, but from what everyone's telling me, Kevin Durant doesn't want Kyrie Irving. So that could be pretty interesting. The league is holding their breath because they know if we get Kyrie, that makes us immediate contenders. I agree. Nobody wants us to get Kyrie. Do you think that scene from today, the Ingram, Lonzo, Davis trade, was an L for the Lakers? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like, Lonzo can't stay healthy. I mean, he's improved a lot, but he can't stay healthy, and he's not somebody that's changing the fate of your franchise. Brandon Ingram is solid, but he's not leading his team to a championship. Like, Ingram's nice. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love Ingram. I've loved Ingram since he was on Duke. But, like, none of the guys we gave up are anywhere close to Anthony Davis. And none of the, like, what is Kuzma doing? What is Ingram doing? What is Lonzo doing? What are all these guys doing? None of them are doing anything. Like, none of them are leading their team. Like, every single one of those players were either a first-round exit, didn't make the playoffs, or they're a play-in team. None of those guys were world beaters. So, I'm not worried about it. Well, AD is on contract for a couple years, but if LeBron leaves, I think it's very likely the Lakers trade Anthony Davis. He might request a trade. He might not even have to request a trade. I think the Lakers, unless they could get like another superstar or two in LeBron's place, I think they trade Davis, because Davis would get some pretty good value. There's teams that would take a chance on Davis. What is going on, Snorlax? Appreciate you. Mission accomplished. He can go to Cleveland. They're not going to give up a bunch of their young guys and stuff to take on LeBron James. Like I said, the only way he goes back to Cleveland is if LeBron signs a vet minimum to retire. Who is Cleveland going to give up without destroying their team and staying a contender with LeBron James? You got to remember too, LeBron's going to be 39 at that point. So I believe the Nets will pull the Jazz, Knicks, or Spurs in a trade to Westbrook to a team with cap space. I think so too. I think it's very likely. I think any of those teams are a real possibility. I really think we need to keep an eye on the Knicks. I think the Knicks could be the X factor in us getting the deal done. Lakers can't take 4 players for 1. They don't have the raw spot for 3 extra players. Yes, but they could take on 2, and then, like I said, reroute another player or 2. They also have guys that they could figure it out. Like I said, likely any 3-team deal. It's not going to be a straight up Knicks for Lakers trade. It's just not going to happen. So it's going to be a third team. A third team probably takes THT, something else, whatever. That's why I'm saying I think the Nets, if the Knicks trade is a real possibility, I think this gets the deal done with the Nets. Why would the Knicks put Brunson and Donovan Mitchell with Westbrook? That's a bad fit for the Knicks. So they just want Westbrook for salary relief. They're likely going to waive him, and then he'll just go sign somewhere else. Brunson and Donovan Mitchell, I have no idea why the Knicks want those two together. Brunson is basically the same player. They're both 6'1", small guards that don't play defense and can get you 20 to 25 a game. Like, I don't understand it. I really don't. It makes no logical sense to me. But I think it's a Knicks thing to do, and I think the Knicks just want to be relevant, and they're going to score a lot of points. They're probably going to be exciting. Knicks fans are going to be buzzing, but I think after that, that's basically all you're going to get. You're going to get a first-round exit team. He knows how to handle front offices. Thank you. Exactly. I get it. There's so many. It's like every hour there's a new conflicting report. It's crazy and mind-blowing. What's going on, Edgar? I appreciate you. I always comment on your videos. Absolutely. I know. I've noticed. I pay attention. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. The guys we gave up for Davis were all on playoff teams this year. Anthony Davis was the highest paid model. But what did any of them do? Like I said, they were all play-in teams. And Kuzma, the Wizards weren't a playoff team this year. No, none of those guys are dominant. And we won a championship. Do you really believe Kuzma, Lonzo Ball, and Brandon Ingram are winning us a championship in the last 3 years? No way. There is no way those 3 guys are winning us a championship right now. No way. No, we wouldn't even be a contender. We might not even be a playoff team. Like, come on. Like, we got the best end of the deal. We got the superstar and we won a championship that year. Like, tried to strong arm the Nets with the big extension and it backfired. Yeah, and now he's likely gone. What you said about the New York Knicks was very interesting. If Mitchell goes there, they need cap space. Send Westbrook, acquire assets, and send the Nets the pick they want. Exactly, Rich. It's a win-win for everybody. Like they get the cap relief. We probably pick up a guy. Like I said, we probably get Evan Fournier or something like that. We keep him in the deal, and then we send Randall and Rose we send Randall and Rose to the Nets with maybe a first and then our first, that kind of thing. So, is it possible to get Kyrie, Hield, and Turner? No. So we could get Hield. It's possible for us to get Kyrie and Hield, but not all 3. Because the problem is we don't have any mid-tier salaries. But like we could trade THT, Winning Gabriel, and Kendrick Nunn. We could trade those 3 and get Hield technically. But we'd likely have to attach a first and stuff like that. But Turner, no. And the Pacers, I don't see trading Turner because I think that it was a possibility before with when they were trying to get Ayton, but now that there's no Ayton deal, it's not going to happen. So Kyrie and Hield, yes. Hang on 1 second, everyone. Hang on 1 second. Sorry about that. I had my babies knocking on the door. Had to they left their thing in my office, so I had to give it back to them. Thank you for sticking around for a minute. Yeah, we could get Kyrie and healed, but no Turner. Lakers will be way off the salary cap if they acquire Patrick Beverley. How will this be solved? So the Lakers, the Lakers would be. The idea is THT. That's the only way to get it. Like I even made a video here on this channel where I talked about how like without trading THT, it just there's no way it works. I understand wanting Pat Bev because what he does for you, and also he's a $13 million expiring contract. But I don't know how you get there without THT. It doesn't make any sense. Brandon Ingram is a star. Are you kidding me? And Lonzo healthy is amazing. Problem is Lonzo can't stay healthy, and he is great. I love Lonzo, but he's not leading a team to a championship. And so far, neither is Brandon Ingram. Again, is Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and Kyle Kuzma a contender right now? No, they're not. They're not. CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram weren't a contender this year. And CJ McCollum's better than Kyle Kuzma. He's better than Lonzo Ball. We won a championship. And I understand. We all think our young guy is a superstar. But Brandon Ingram he's a great player. And he has so much more room to go. And he might be a superstar. He could end up being a great guy. But they're not winning a championship. Hart would win Lakers championship, Summer League championship. Absolutely. They would win the Summer League championship. But they're not leading us to a championship. And we got a championship out of the deal. Like, what more could you want? Like, I understand we love our young guys, but we might not even be a playoff team with them. Not that we were a playoff team this year, but at least we won a championship. The team that wins a championship is the team that gets the better deal. If we would have developed them like Golden State developed their players, we'd have a championship. Here's the difference. And this is something, because I see this comment all the time. The difference is you have a once-in-a-generational player in Stephen Curry, a once-in-a-generational player in Klay Thompson, and you had Draymond Green, who is like the perfect fit. Lonzo Ball is never going to be either of those guys. Kyle Kuzma is never going to be either of those guys. And same thing with Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram's never going to be either of those guys. Like, what Golden State did is extremely rare. It doesn't happen very often. More times than not, the team that wins a championship is a team that acquired multiple assets. We've seen it all throughout history of the NBA. Like, very rarely does a team homegrown players and win a championship. And the Golden State Warriors, absolutely they did that. But you're talking about the greatest shooter of all time. They got an all-time great player in Steph Curry. They got an all-time great player in Klay Thompson. They also ended up getting Kevin Durant in a trade and won 2 championships. Otherwise, they probably have, 3 now or 2 now? Who knows how many they would have won without Kevin Durant? You got to understand how hard it is to win a championship. It took the Golden State Warriors getting 3 all-time great players to win championships. And yes, it was homegrown. That's great. Good for them. But in reality, that almost never happens. You're talking about a 1 in a trillion chance. Literally. Matt Damon. Where did we go? Here we go. I think trading for Anthony Davis was a great idea when he's healthy. No one can stop him. Exactly. That's the biggest problem is him staying healthy. But even in comparison, people talk about Anthony Davis's health. He's played more games than Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Ben Simmons. He's played more minutes the last 3 years than half of the stars in this league. It's just the problem is that Anthony Davis seems to get hurt at the worst times. When we're up 2-1, looking like we're going to go up 3-1 against the Suns. It's just bad times. You put a positive spin on everything. Thank you. Let's make a petition to get me hired by the Lakers. I'd love that. But thank you. I appreciate you. People forget about what AD did in the bubble. And when the Lakers were kicking the number 2 seed Suns as we were up 2-1. Then AD got hurt. Yeah, very unfortunate. Exactly. But it's recency bias. It's the whole "what have you done for me lately?" And I understand it to an extent, but we gotta keep things in perspective and keep things focused. I really think we should have kept Lonzo over Kuzma in the AD trade. The problem with keeping Lonzo is you have LeBron, and so Lonzo became irrelevant. And at the time, he couldn't shoot. Like, he's improved his shot tremendously over the last few years, but at the time, he just wasn't a good shooter, and that was the problem. And it was like you had LeBron James, and you had Lonzo. Neither of them could really shoot at the time. I feel like we could have just traded Kuzma and kept the number 4 pick in the AD trade. We would have been better off. I mean, in hindsight, yes. But at the time, Kuzma was great. Laker fans still want Kuzma back, right? And they probably should have kept Kuzma, But, in hindsight, you can always look back and think like that. But in reality, like I said, it worked out. You can't be upset that we got a championship over it, He is an expiring contract at $13 million. Yes, correct. Hope that you were right and I am wrong about the Kyrie trade. But like I said, I say it over and over again. I am nobody. I have no inside information. I am just some guy on the internet. I just look at everything we have, and my conclusion is that it's a matter of when, not if. I could be completely wrong, but we'll see. Only time will tell. Brandon Ingram all wrong. When it's all said and done, he will be doing way better than Anthony Davis. Okay, man, we'll see. THT needs to be traded if LeBron was 33 or 34. It would be a different story. But LeBron is turning 38, and I have watched him since 18 years old. He is going to stay with this nonsense. I can understand. The problem is we have the pieces to win now. You kind of got to figure it out, LeBron, Ingram, Lonzo, Russell, and Dwight, plus the possibility of getting other players with the low cap. That's not a championship team, though. Russell has been so inconsistent. The Timberwolves want to get rid of him. Dwight's, he's a role player at this point. LeBron James basically carrying himself. LeBron can't even make the playoffs with Anthony Davis. Ingram's been hurt a bunch. Lonzo's been hurt a bunch. Dwight's not even on a roster anymore. And we wouldn't have had low cap space because we would have had to pay Ingram. We would have had to pay Lonzo at this point. Russell would have been at a max contract at that point. It's just there's no that team doesn't win a championship in the West. That team maybe is a playoff team, but they're not winning a championship in the West. They're not beating the Warriors. They're not beating the Suns. They're not beating the Mavs. They're not it's just that team would be fun to watch, but they're not a contender. There's no defense on that team either. Lonzo is a solid defender, but again, injury stuff like that. He missed a step last year. Ingram's probably the best overall defender there. Russell can't play defense to save his life, and Dwight, like I said, is old. The roster doesn't work at all as it stands. Yeah, currently, yes, absolutely, I agree. We need to upgrade. They trust their people and the players. What I have seen from the Lakers front office is friends mixing with business, especially when they don't know about basketball and chemistry. But that's been the problem with the Lakers for the longest time. As you still have Kurt Rambis and his wife, can't blanking on her name at the moment, basically running the organization. Ginny is listening to everybody but the people she should be listening to. It's a mess. But bring Rondo back. Hey, Rondo was solid for us, but after all the legal stuff he did, I don't see it happening. But that being said, I am at the end of this chat, so I am actually going to end this live stream. I've gone for an hour and 30 minutes. If you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, thank you, Linda. Thank you. Appreciate it. I don't know why I blanked on that. I appreciate you. We need to get rid of Westbrook. I agree 100%. What is your prediction with our roster right now? What will our record be? As currently, I think we're a playoff team. Just because I think Utah, you have Utah falling off, Spurs you don't have to worry about, Pelicans likely still getting it, Clippers are to come back up. I think we have 40 to 45 wins, somewhere around there as it currently is built, unless they can get Russ. If they can get Russ figured out and bought in, I could see us being a solid team. I could see us getting 45 to 50 games. And last question. What role do the Spurs play in helping the team facilitate the trade for Kyrie? Basically be the salary absorption for Russell Westbrook. So they basically, Lakers would have to give them a pick, and then the Spurs would take on Westbrook. They would buy him out. Westbrook would be a free agent, and then they get a pick for their services, basically what it is. But again, that being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. I am getting closer and closer to 1,000 subscribers. That's the goal. Once I get to 1,000 subs, we are in a beautiful place. I am at 755, so if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. If you haven't liked this video, please like this video. I will see all you beautiful faces in the next one. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me, and till next time.